What do you think, if you observe, what do you think would be the occupation more in demand in coming days in Australia that may drive the migration program in Australia?
Well, to answer your question, I can basically do it in two parts,
Mm-hmm.
because you gave me keywords in the coming days. Um, Skill shortages are basically, the old traditional ones that we all know and love that have been persistent for a while, such as aged care service providers, disability service providers, accountants, so on and so forth. Um, so those have been on the skilled occupation list for quite a few years now, and they are classified by Jobs and Skills Australia as persistent shortages. They actually refer to them as persistent. Um, but as far as the second part of the answer to your question, in terms of emerging occupations that are in demand, obviously all of the development and the advancement in technology is making many employers more reliant on artificial intelligence, robotics, that sort of thing. So that reliance that's increasing day by day is creating demand for all kinds of jobs that are related to those kinds of skills. So those would be sort of the newer comers onto the skilled occupation lists as we know them.
So it will, you think, drive the and polish the immigration program of Australia?
Very much so. And I think this was part of I did a bit of research for this podcast in order to prepare. And there was a study not too long ago, I think it was just in January, earlier this month, that Jobs and Skills in Australia did that advised the Department of Home Affairs on the results of the study, sort of as part of that whole migration reform that Doha is doing that started a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So not only did Jobs and Skills Australia provide a whole bunch of data 3 years ago as input for the migration reform, but it also keeps updating them as JSA does more studies and more statistics and findings. It keeps updating the Department of Home Affairs as to, hey, add this, remark to, your reform, if that's possible. Of course, we all know that this reform had to be heavily legislated, so some things may not really catch up, but it's still, I think, good for Doha to be receiving these updates from Jobs and Skills.
Input by some research, backed by some research, so it helps them for decision making what legislation or what occupation must be given the priority to put it on the skill occupation list or whatever.
Right, and so that with the next round of legislation, these recent advices that Doha is receiving can be considered, for additional occupations onto the list.